Welcome everyone today to RPG Frequencies, and thanks for stopping by my channel. I've been wanting to do this video. I'm a little late for kind of a year-end wrap-up review, but we're a week now into January 2025. But I've been wanting to do a video on solo RPGs, and more specifically, some of the tools that I think are out there that you might consider if you're like me and do a lot of things virtually. Now, I'll say up front that I love just as much as anyone playing a game that's on a tabletop, physical components, all those things. But I find myself with my family, sometimes it's hard to take up an entire table for weeks or sometimes even months on end. And I found myself doing a lot more with looking to find options to play virtually. So I thought this might help you as well. So I'm going to give you some options. These are in alphabetical order as I go through these. So these are not necessarily in order of top 10. I tried to narrow it down to roughly 10. I think I might have included an 11th in here, but it's more to get you thinking about what's available and where you might find something that could work for you. So I'm going to go through these, and depending on how long it takes me, I might mention some of the games I'm playing myself these days, or maybe I'll do it while we go through these options. And keep in mind, some of these I've used much more than others. Some of these I've never used. Some of these I've dabbled with. I've opened up accounts but never played. So I'll try to mention that because certainly some of my biases will come out as we go through here. And I'll try to note the pricing where I'm aware of it. So with that, let me flip over to my desktop games. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm getting a cold or something. My voice is a little bit off. So number one that I will go through, and I'll put links to these so that you can shortcut them in the video below. So we're going to start with Alchemy VTT. So I was a founder of Alchemy VTT and participated in their Kickstarter. I would say this is very good. It's more narrative focused, and it's all about it's all about more immersive role playing. So there's a lot of video. I'm going to try to avoid clicking into all of these, but rather let you find them yourselves. But it's very much focused. Let me see. You can even, if you wanted to, click into these live games, but it's much more about minimalization, I would say, in terms of even though it has character sheets, it has things like, what am I trying to say? Chat features and roles and that type of thing. It's more about the scenes. And you can see as I drill into their marketplace, there's a lot of like Chapeku scenes and things that you can go into. And if I click on any of these, I don't know if it'll give me a thumbnail. It might not, but there's a big focus on the overlays, and Kinemancer is another one that does fantastic overviews. I don't want to click on the YouTube video and get a strike against me, but all of these can be like overlays that are animated too. So really cool scenes. And those are typically the background of what you'll be playing on. And a lot of different games. They have regular games that are not as motion, I guess, that don't have as many like motion scenes. But then you have these Alchemy Enhanced, which is a much more robust implementation. So they just released recently Vampire the Masquerade. And so here's kind of what the screen would look like, a couple of screenshots. So again, you can see the theme they're going for, but I do think even for solo, even though it's not necessarily intended for solo, I feel like you could easily adapt and play Alchemy in solo mode. So, all right, I'm going to try not to do, try to do about a minute or so on each of these. We'll see how tightly I stick to that. So that's Alchemy. They do run a subscription version. So I believe you still have the ability to do a free version and create like one or two, I'm trying to remember what they're called, rooms or universes or what have you. But take a look at it. But then I think it's $8 a month for their more enhanced version, what they call Alchemy Unlimited, I believe. So that's Alchemy. The next one is very specifically a solo VTT called the Augur. Now, I'll try to remember to link these when I have time, and maybe timestamp them here and link them at the top. to show you, but I have some videos showing off the Augur. I've used Under Ashen Skies in this. It was initially, as I understand it, focused on like Ironsworn and the sci-fi version of Ironsworn, Starforged, I believe it is. I apologize if I'm butchering that. I don't play a ton of sci-fi. Let me see if I click over on sci-fi if it shows you. But you can bundle these together. And right now, I think they've been running this $24.95 for some time, and it's one-time purchase. And it is it does come with a lot of information. Here you can see it is system agnostic. And again, I was able to put in Under Ashen Skies and some other things pretty easily. And it's got mapping features, a lot of customization on characters and things, but it supports Starforged and Ironsworn. I'm not familiar with Sundered Isles, but I know they have a really good implementation of Starforged and Ironsworn. So if you like those games, I would definitely encourage you to check this out. And you can do like, again, mapping characters. Here you can see like there's dice rolling, there's journaling, hex maps, and you can play pretty much anywhere. So this one you can play from your browser as well. Pricing, again, I think $24.95. You can get both the sci-fi and the fantasy versions. And from what I recall, it's been that price for some time. That's the Augur. The next one is certainly near and dear to my heart. If you've followed me for any amount of time, you'll know me as Gwydion, and I do a ton in Fantasy Grounds. I've done a little bit less lately because I usually focus my Fantasy Grounds work on group play, and I just haven't had time to GM, DM much lately, which is why I've been gravitating to solo play. But I've put in games like 2D6 Dungeon. The first level I've included in Fantasy Grounds, and it's a very robust tabletop, and you can create a lot of your own modules in this, and it's not that challenging. Pricing was always a little bit of a challenge for Fantasy Grounds, and I think they were a bit behind the curve, in my opinion, for a bit. But now, I don't know if it'll show me here. Yeah, I think it will. The licensing now, you can do it by month, but their core license is $20 one-time license or $50 for an unlimited ultimate license, and that's a one-time purchase. So it's consistent now with Foundry. No surprise there. Foundry and Fantasy Grounds, I feel like, are still two of the more robust VTTs today, in addition to Roll20, which I'll mention. So Fantasy Grounds, again, the interface, I would say, is a little more antiquated and outdated, but it's very, very robust. You have the ability to create modules and rule sets called like X-Core, which allows you to really quickly and easily stand up games. And I have put games like Obscure VTT in here. I did an implementation of, I think it was Map Maker. I even did an implementation of the game Roll, what is it called? Role Player. By Keith, I think it's Majeska. I always butcher his last name. So anyway, said enough about Fantasy Grounds. I will try to do some links here because I've done a lot of that. And again, 2D6 Dungeon, I have a free version I released in Fantasy Grounds. Foundry. Obviously, Foundry's huge right now, very extensive modules. And I did take a quick peek. I've owned Foundry for years, but candidly, I've never run a game on it. But it's beautiful. It has, I'll just scroll through a few of these images, ton of modifications or mods that you can use. Great dice rolling. Again, a lot of customization, powerful APIs. There have been a lot of development around Foundry, so I think it's a great choice. And I took a quick peek and found one of the games I like the most, Caer Nathalis, that I'm playing a lot for solo. Looks like it has an implementation on Foundry. And you can buy Foundry as well for a $50 one-time cost. And again, if you're really into a ton of customization around dice rolling, automation, and all of the flavors, audio, just beautiful scenes, and a lot of ability to customize things and add in modules that can really help your game run smoothly, I would encourage you to check out Foundry. And again, I can't do it justice because I've never really run a game in Foundry. I've dabbled with module making and some things like that, but a great option, I think. All right. The next one is a little bit more of an honorable mention. I participated in the beta for a VTT called Menyr. It's still in beta, and really, actually, I think it's still in alpha. Technically, I don't remember, but I did kickstart it, and it's all about world building, and it's got a super detailed ability to build your own worlds, and you can see the demo that's scrolling in the background as I go through this, and I've dabbled with it, and man, it looks super powerful, but they're still really getting into the ability to create characters and all those things. And I don't know the timeline. I haven't followed it quickly or closely enough, but I do think, again, it might be a really interesting one. Maybe to run solo, but this is a little bit more like there's Tailspire maybe is one example of something that might be a little bit more like Menyr. So I would follow it and take a look at it, but this one might be maybe not. But I just think it's another cool entry on what's becoming a crowded virtual tabletop marketplace. All right, the next one, Owlbear Rodeo. Again, one I've dabbled with, I haven't played a lot with. My experience with Owlbear Rodeo has been a little bit more around their product that they released called Kinku FM, which is a great way to stream your audio, collect your audio, and be able to stream it to players. So if you're looking for some audio solutions into Discord, Kinku FM, I believe, hands down, is a best option to stream into Discord. But you can see they have this one. I believe there's a subscription option as well, but I know there also is a free option with Owlbear, and you can do tokens, you can create rooms. I just click into this a little bit, create your own rooms, edit rooms. There's really good documentation around this. Scenes, you can create your own scenes, and obviously mapping, imaging. Tokens look great, and it's really easy to get started in this VTT. You can create, I believe, a fog of war, but I don't know if that's behind a paywall or not. So I don't want to say yes or no to that. And like I said, there is a subscription version. There's a free version that allows you 200 megabytes of storage, access to all tools. So it looks like Fog of War is not behind a paywall. And you have up to 2 rooms. Whereas if you get into more of the subscription based, it looks like it increases the number of rooms, storage, and ability to personalize your rooms. But I've heard really good things about Owlbear Rodeo, and people that want to kind of get in and start quickly and don't want to worry as much about some of the automation in the bigger VTTs. I've heard some great things about it. So I would encourage you to check out Owlbear for your solo games. Playingcards.io. Now this one I am in my account because I just wanted to show you what's possible. This, as I got more into solo games, I found this and I started inputting several games into playingcards.io, which, as you can tell by the name, it's much more about creating a space online to play card games, and not just card games, but dominoes or all kinds of different games. But it started out, I believe, more as playing cards and any kind of card game you can think of. There are a number of creators that have chosen to do their own implementation of their games within playingcards.io. And I did not know that was a thing until very recently. So Wraithhound is a game that I just picked up. And again, solo game, I'll click into it. I haven't played it yet, but you can see this room, and I don't know if I can start and restart this game. Yeah, there you go. But you can see very beautiful implementation here. There's automation buttons, and you can set these up. I have other videos on how I've set up some of my games, but you can set up all kinds of things. Dice rolling, so I could roll here. You could set up these little text snippets here, where if you want to set up, hey, what happens when I have doubles, if I roll doubles? So you can click here and see that. You can even select one and have that be what shows up here. They have a basic oracle here. And again, this is just for this game and how this person implemented it. So if I click on the oracle button, you get this entire text changes. And then again, you can reveal cards, you can hover over them. And if you'd like, you can have the ability to enlarge the cards, but tons of automation. So that's one example. I put in Doom Pilgrim, and I actually did a live play. Let me go to my copy for a second to show you, because I'm actually in the middle of a game. But I changed all the colors in the button. I created some counters. I created the ability to just automatically deal. There's 90 cards here. I put each and every one of these 90 cards front and back into the program. And now if I want to start a game, click on one of these buttons. This will be a 60 card game. I'll click on this. And then if I want to deal, I can click on my deal button and it shows these 3 cards. So again, this is my implementation. The reason some of these pictures are a little bit cut off is I had to scan these myself. I own the game, but I scanned the card so I could get it in here. And then you can click on edit table and there's just tons of automation you can do, of colors, of automation, of just all kinds of implementations. The last one, and I'm hoping I get a chance to play today. The last one, actually, I played Crypts of Obscurum, which I put in here, and another really good card game. But another implementation that is actually in here is called The Lantern. This, although I tweaked it a little bit, this is a game that had a ton of automation and was already set up by the author. And I just think it looks beautiful. So I wouldn't call this a VTT by any means, but I thought it was good enough for you solo players to consider, particularly if you're into these solo types of card games. All right, so that's playingcards.io. In a free version, there also is, let me see if I can log out. Well, I'll just tell you, there is a free version and you can upgrade. There are 2 different tiers of paid versions that do various different things in terms of taking off ads and the like, but you can try it out for free. Playingcards.io. The next one is called RoleVTT, and there's Roll20, there's Let's Roll. This is called RoleVTT. I've been involved in this one for quite a while. It's free. The reason I mention it to you is that it's got a very robust, and I think to me, the best character sheet option for character creation that I've seen. Very simple, very intuitive. They do have a marketplace where they can see if I can, let me just log in for a second, because I do want you to see this. I don't think it's going to show good. Hopefully I remember my login. Okay, so here are some of my rooms. I'm going to go into Vaesen for a second. And I just want to show you, I won't get into the VTT itself, but I'm going to change the card here to a different. So this is my character, Olas Clint, for Vaesen. And you can see here, I've got different sections, and I created these. I believe I created this character sheet myself. So I set this up this way, but you can click on this side over here, go straight to toughness, and you have mental and physical wounds that you can note here. You can toggle different objects and have them be part of your role. If I go back to skills, I can click on, let's see. So I have stealth. If I click on stealth here and click on roll, it's going to roll all of the things that I've automated. So in this case, clicking on stealth, since that is a precision attribute, it's tied to precision. So since I have a 3 there and a 3 here, it rolled a total of 6 dice. And I don't remember, there might even be other automations now, but I can quickly look here and say, hey, I got 1 success, there's 1 6. So I would encourage you to check it out, because all of these character sheets are super easy to do. And there's already a ton that have been done in the marketplace. So again, I think RoleVTT free, they had a little bit of a changeover in management. And I think there was a point in time where they were down a little bit with respect to their audio video, but I think that is all pretty well updated now, or I think they're through all that. What I wanted to do, if I sign out here, go back to this, go back to Roll. So they do have an integration as well that I'm not super familiar with. Here we go, with Owlbear. So if you kind of like part of what RoleVTT has, but you're interested in more of, I think, the map features with Owlbear Rodeo, if you are a patron, and I think that's a Roll patron, then you can complete maps and assets and use them in Owlbear. Then they do have a lot of games in their marketplace that are not the common games. So in addition to the solo, if you're interested in like some of these games, that are not as, they're not 5e, they're not Pathfinder, but Lancer and OS Old School Essentials, I would say, is getting pretty popular, but there's a lot of other games and there's some free games. Chrome is something that was role specific, I think, but you can kind of see there's a lot of different games you could play in here. And I think it's great. Again, I think it'd be a good for a solo, particularly for the character sheet. So that's Roll20. I have to admit, I've had an account for years, like 6 years, but I've never run a game. I've dabbled with Roll20. Obviously, it's a huge player in the marketplace. And let me get rid of that. Sorry. But I do think with all the customization, the dice rolling, the macros, ability to create a free account, that it's an option. And I'm not going to go into this one too much detail because it probably has the most information available than anything. But again, it has a lot of support for a lot of different games. And I don't know specifically on solo. See if I go to Marketplace, if I can look at anything. Yeah, I'd have to look to see, sort by. But you can see all the games, ton of different games that it supports. Dragonbane, which I love, and a ton of different games. So I do think Roll20 could be an option. And again, it does have a free version. So Aegon is one that's interesting. Aegon is a game that I picked up myself, and I haven't played it yet, but it looks really, really interesting. It's more of the, I think, Greek, like the Greek gods and goddesses and demigods and what have you. All right. I know I didn't do justice to Roll20. Apologize in advance to those of you that are huge fans. It's just one I haven't spent a lot of time on, but I definitely wanted to mention. Okay, Sojur. You'll see I've done a lot in Sojur lately, and this is an individual person that creates Sojur, and a lot of it is about journaling, and this is specifically geared to solo players. Now, you'll see, so full disclosure, I've created my own Discord channel. So although my channel names are RPG Frequencies, many of you will know me as Gwydion or Lord Gwydion if you've been around with me for a while. But I do have on my Discord channel a discussion on Sojur, and you can buy it as a one-time cost on DriveThruRPG at $10. So I don't know if I might go click on that for a second to see if there's anything more. Yeah, you get there's a lot of videos out there, and I have videos. There's a huge manual on this, and it's hard to do it justice, but I've run some games on it, so I'll try to place some links in the video to those games as well. But the mapping feature is cool, really easy to upload maps. You can tilt them and make it look a little bit more 3D. In the journaling side, you can build tons of tables. There's an ability to do combat and create combat. It's not exactly a combat tracker, but you can create a combat flow. You can create NPCs. You can upload documents. You can upload images. I think for solo, it is a really, really good option. And again, I'll link to some videos on this, but it's no secret. I've been using Sojur a lot, and I've played a number of games lately in it, and I really like it for solo play. All right, at Sojur and Tabletop Simulator, I've not played a lot in this for some time, but again, I think there are a number of implementations in Tabletop Simulator. This is a one-time $20 cost, and a little bit more about 3D and assets, but there's a huge community presence here. So if you get into Tabletop Simulator, you can look around, and like there are games like, I'll click to one, Mage Knight. So some of the solo games that are super involved, take up a ton of space, might already be on here for free. So even though you're paying the $19.99, you might be able to get into a game like Mage Knight and do everything online. So I'll just click to some of these images, but all of the cards, the digital assets, I mean, some people have spent enormous amounts of time putting games into Tabletop Simulator. When I first started playing Gloomhaven a little bit, I found that there was a great Gloomhaven implementation on Mage Knight. So all kinds of good solo games that you could find on Tabletop Simulator. So let's see. That's everything as far as the VTTs. I'm trying to think if I'm missing. I know I'm missing some VTTs. So I apologize in advance of. I didn't put on Let's Roll. That's another one that's been out for a while that I did kickstart, but that's an option. I have very little familiarity with it, so I didn't put that up there. But I would say maybe to finish, I'm going to go back to my splash screen. The only thing I would say is there's a lot of games out there now. I feel like we're in the golden age of not just virtual tabletops or tabletop games in general, but there are websites like itch.io, GameCrafter, GameFound, Crowdfunder, in addition to Kickstarter and the like. So I would encourage you to go out and look at all those sites for the games that you're interested in, because I've found some really interesting games that I would have never found if I didn't look on some of those sites. So that's it for now. I hope you found this useful. Drop some comments in if there are virtual tabletops or even tools. There's a ton of other tools out there that I didn't get a chance to talk about, but there's a ton of tools for us as solo role players now. So I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, drop me a like or a comment, and I will see you next time.